Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. We've got Blackrock Silver, one of the sponsors on the show today. Andrew Pollard has come on so that we can talk about their lithium project that just made some news. Andrew, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you. It's always good to be back, and I guess BlackRock's got silver, gold, and as of this morning, a whole lot of white gold too.
White
So,
gold.
yeah, we're sitting pretty.
You got real gold, you got poor man's gold, you got white gold.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's a good place to be. I mean, lithium's looking good, silver's looking like it's going to slingshot here pretty quick, and gold is, already at all-time highs in every single currency except the US dollar, and it looks like that's going to
That's
start to make some moves here too. So three different ways to win.
Yeah, and the silver I think is got a slingshot effect. It could come in because you've got gold almost trading at all-time highs, and yet silver is trading at about half price from its all-time high.
Right? Yeah, it's wild, but we're tied to three different commodities, all of which, I think just from a fundamental point of view, are going to be going a hell of a lot higher. And we've got some of the best assets. I mean, we're in the for the gold and silver and now the lithium space. I mean, our land holdings are in elephant countries for all of them. And on the lithium side, this wasn't planned, but it turns out that this lithium belt we're on is emerging quickly due to breakthroughs in technology with some absolutely monster discoveries, monster deposits, sorry. And what we're showing just even on this morning's news is that we've got our project is starting to take shape and is looking very similar to the other monster deposits that are up there, both in terms of grade
And you're
profile, which,
talking you're talking about companies that are right next door,
yeah,
relatively speaking.
multi-billion-dollar NPV projects right next door, which we're showing either same grade or higher grade in the exact same rocks, in the exact same stratigraphy. And we've got step outs, like, we've our partner Tierlac put out drill results this morning to confirm our original discovery with Core and start showing size potential. Their stock, I mean, they've traded over 2 million shares this morning. They're up 13-14% on the back of it. And of course, as all silver investors know, you put out good news and you go red. So we're red. Our partner company's up substantially. I think it's just sort of a liquidity event, but this news is unequivocal. This news is, our project's the real deal there. And I think our lithium deposit will be globally significant in the not too distant future based on the comparables around us and the fact that our partner is going to be putting out a resource on this by the end of the year. But all we know is it's got a great grade profile that they've established. It's way higher grade than even we originally thought. And yeah, a 4 kilometer surface area they drilled out just in today's release. Every single drill hole hit, well over 1,000 ppm lithium. It's the highest grade drill results we've seen. And the step outs that are pending will probably take that area to 6 or 7 square kilometers when all is said and done. This is stuff right at surface. It's at grades, well beyond the cutoff grade, well in line with what our peers have on that belt. And, this is something that's going to get exciting very quickly. It's already exciting if you're a Tierlac shareholder. So,
Well, it's sometimes it takes a couple of days for the news to be absorbed, and I mean, to be in that neighborhood that you're in with companies with the valuations that they have, and it looks like you're in the same ballpark as far as size potential and grade.
yeah, well, and we're the only one. Like, there's an intersection. So the Tonopah Silver District goes like this, and the Tonopah Lithium Belt cuts right across it right there. And we own that. We own the intersection. We've got one of the highest grade undeveloped silver projects in the entire industry right now. And it looks like directly abutting that, we've got a huge growing lithium discovery, which lines up very well. So there's a lot going for us down in Tonopah, but give us 6 months to get this resource done there. We've already established that our silver gold discovery is going to get bigger. I mean, we've hit the extension of that district on the other side of the fault system. It's wide open. It's going to keep running. We're
Andrew,
planning.
before we get into the gold and silver, What's the structure of the deal again for our audience that may not realize? So
Sure.
you guys have optioned it to Tierlac.
Yeah, we've optioned it to a company called Tierlac. Now the deal of the terms of that, they can earn into a 50% joint venture by spending $5 million US within the next 3 years. They then have the option of earning into 70% by spending an additional $10 million US within 5 years from now, and deliver a feasibility study. Um, that's a lot of money. So the best thing is we're not spending.
You're carried for 15 million bucks worth, 15
Yeah,
million bucks worth of work.
correct. Yeah, and if they take it to that 70% interest and deliver a feasibility study, it'll mean that this is the big kahuna. As I said, the project next door to us, to put in perspective, has a $5 billion US after tax MPV. The other company, called American Battery Metals, ABML is their symbol in the US. They're trading for $600 or $700 million US on the back of their deposit. It's one of the largest lithium deposits in all North America. Our grade profile, our area that we're drilling out, is comparable to both of those. So
And
we're
we have had optimism towards lithium, but Andrew, I don't think people really understand the supply story. To meet the demand that's coming, everything has to work. The brine deposits have to work. The hard rock deposits have to work. The clay deposits have to work. Otherwise, where are you going to get all the lithium you need to make all these electric vehicles?
right. And the world's becoming a smaller place right now, too, as geopolitical instability picks back up. I mean, China controls a massive amount of the rare earth resources around the globe right now. Well, what happens? They're clearly sort of aligning themselves with the Russians, and, from everything with respect to business interests to breaking the US dollar, with their BRICS currency. What we have in Tonopah in Nevada really is a domestic source of really high grade silver, really high grade gold, and lithium, and what's looking to be massive quantities. So
In one of the, if not the best mining jurisdictions in the world.
yeah, and we're on private land at that for a large portion of our project. So I mean, even on the lithium side, maybe there's a way, even though our deposit's all on federal claims, we have 5 square kilometers of patented claims right next door, which maybe we put a process plant on there, and all of a sudden you leapfrog permitting, you become a near-term producer. There's lots going for us. I think Tonopah
Who
is going to
knows?
become.
There might even be some funding from the government to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's that too. I mean, the Biden administration's backed some massive, written some massive checks for other lithium deposits down there, but also, in Nevada. I mean, General Motors just invested $650 million into Rhyolite Ridge. Yeah, this is something that's, we're 2 hour drive from the Gigafactory. And I know those cars use a lot of lithium, but they need a whole lot of silver too. Well, we've got a silver, gold, and lithium mining complex, part of which is on private land, could be advanced very quickly, quicker than most of our peers on that belt. And right now, even though our partner company's seeing a big spike in their valuation on the back of these results, I think we're in a lag time there. But what's delayed isn't denied. All we know is the size of the prize is getting bigger.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes a couple of days for the story to get out there, and I'll do my best to help that process, Andrew. But so you kind of touched on something there that I think is a perfect segue into the silver and gold story you have going, in that there's currency wars going on right now. The central bankers of the world are buying gold hand over fist to sort of create somewhat of a gold standard. You've got inflation, you've got banking crisis. I really believe that investors that want to protect their money should be in gold and silver, and those that
Well,
want to
yeah.
see that grow should be in the gold and silver companies.
Correct. Well, right now, I mean, listen, silver is finally back to $25, $26, which, last time it was at that price for a sustained period, which was last year. The valuations, the ounce in the ground valuations were trading for about 2 to 2.5x what those same ounces are trading for right now. That's the leveraged call option aspect of getting involved with explorers and developers, is that silver, gold are there. They've run. I think retail and the generalist money's yet to really start piling back in. You're seeing more of it now. But all you need is a sustained rally. Silver doesn't need to run to $30 or $35. What it needs to do is stay at $25 for just a sustained period for about a quarter or so. At that point, the majors and the mid tiers are making money hand over fist. They're running. That money trickles down to the advanced explorers and developers. Then they start running, and that's the rising tide effect. But all other things being equal, we could do nothing and just stay here, and we think we're poised for an immediate re-rate just with that rising tide, the leveraged nature of owning the.
When you were talking about how the miners, when they get the torque to the price, and even at $25, they're making a lot of money. But I would point out that one of my top picks in the silver mining space is Silvercrest. And Silvercrest has a very low cost. I believe it'll come in at under $10 an ounce. And yet they're mining 700 grams. Now, why I bring this up is because you guys are following a very similar path to them. You started out with the same size main resource, and then they kept growing it, and now they've got one of the lowest cost producers of silver in the business, and you're in a similar kind of a scenario.
Grade is king, right? Grade is margin. For our maiden resource, it lined up nearly exactly in terms of tons and in terms of grade profile that Silvercrest did for their maiden resource. And since then, they're not only have they added ounces, but the average grade has skyrocketed up. It's nearly more than doubled from what their maiden resource was, because they're able to drill out the high grade structures, which we've spoken about before. Very similar story, though. Similar in terms of grade profile. The other thing that's very similar to it is that just like Silvercrest, ours is just silver and gold down there on that system. If you look at the tailings on our property, it's beach sand. You take out the gold and silver, it's just sand. There's nothing else in there. And it's the pure play silver primary precious metals deposits, especially those with grade, that carry the highest valuations. We're not polymetallic. We're just pure silver gold, similar grade profile that Silvercrest had. And we see, it's the same story. They picked up a historic mining district and showed new life. We've done the same. Give us some time, and hopefully we'll be looking at similar sort of potential in terms of cash cost too. I mean, that's
and they're
at these
over
grades,
$1 billion company.
Yeah, well, there's three different ways to win with us. I mean, we are tied to actual ounces in the ground now, so we have that leverage call option effect. If the tide comes back, we know we're adding more ounces. I mean, we've already found the extension of this world famous silver camp on the other side of a fault. We figured out where it is. We know where it's running. We've got multiple pierce points into it. Our only holdback there is time and money, really, just to develop to get the project to the next resource. And then, of course, at Silver Cloud, we've got a brand new multi-ounce gold discovery right next door to what was the biggest cash machine, not in Nevada, but the industry 20 years ago. It was, we're on trend to Midas. It looks like we might have the extension there. Midas was the Fosterville of the mining industry 20 years ago. It's a cash cow. Yeah,
that's the nature. People don't understand. That's the nature of those epithermal vein systems. And the other thing that they don't understand, it seems, based on your valuation, is that when you drill into the boiling zone of an epithermal vein, you've made a major milestone, and it only gets better from there.
Yeah, well, we did it we made this discovery. We hit it like right on the nose. I think there's a bit of grace involved there, and a little bit of luck, and and a great geologist, because Bill, obviously, this is his third discovery in 3 years for us. you know, at those grades, 70 grams gold, 606 grams silver, veins, exactly similar vein width to what they had at Midas. The ounces pile up quick. At Midas, they produced 3 million ounces at 30 gram per ton head grade from veins that were between 1 meter to 2 meters thick. We know where we're going to be drilling this in about 2 to 3 weeks here. Where, you know, snow's melting, northern Nevada's warming up. We're just waiting for the last of our permits to come in from the BLM, which are expected imminently. We've already got drillers lined up, so we'll be up there in early May. We know where the structure is now. We know the boiling zone, and we'll be offsetting this. And this, you know, in 3 years' time, like, I don't know which of our projects, which of our discoveries is going to be the biggest or the baddest, but they're all looking pretty good by my stance right now. I mean,
You know, another thing that people don't understand is when you find one of those and you find the boiling zone, there's often more of them around
oh
there.
yeah, you know, there should be some parallel structures. Most importantly, we know which way that system's oriented now. You know, but you know, to get lucky, you got to drill, and we're gonna get the drill back up there. But you know, once again, anytime is it blind discovery, multi-ounce discoveries in Nevada, you don't find too many of those these days. I mean, you
Anywhere.
know, and you know that's the main reason. You know, when I first joined Blackrock, Silver Cloud was the only project we had, and we said it's a time capsule because it had been undrilled in 20 years, and it's 45 square kilometers in one of the most active. It's at the top of the largest gold mining complex in the world. You know, south of us is Nevada Gold Mines. Goldstrike, a mine, is the largest gold mine in North America. You can
Midas
see
is
that.
to the north and Holland.
Yeah, Midas, Hollister to the east, Midas to the north, all pointing at us. And we're, you know, we've got this time capsule. It's been undrilled in about 20 years since the discovery was made. And I think we're going to be, you know, making up for a lot of lost time there. But we know, we know
Andrew,
that,
you also have a share. At first, Majestic's a shareholder in you guys, right?
yeah, they came in to 2 financings within the first year of our discovery in Tonopah. So,
The reason I'm asking is Ermitaño is one of their best performing mines, and it's not very far from Las Chispas, by the way. And
mhm.
what was interesting about that project is they had this outcropping vein, really not very exciting numbers above the boiling zone. They
Mhm.
drilled 150 meters in, they tagged that boiling zone, and the rest is history. It's now a
Yeah.
mine that's a money-making machine. So
Well,
they got to be liking what you're doing at Silver Cloud.
I'll tell you what. Not only do we have this discovery down in the Northwest Canyon area, this is a massive project, right? And Silver Clouds, Nick is named that because not to do with silver, but because of mercury. Mercury used to be known as Quicksilver. It's the number one. It's the mother of all Pathfinder elements. To represent that you're on top of an epithermal system as the mercury boils up. Silver Cloud was the largest mercury producer in the Western United States in the early 1940s and 50s, and right up. So we know we're on top of a big epithermal system there. There's multiple past producer mercury, I guess, prospects throughout that property, and to the north. So to the our Northwest Canyon discoveries in, say, the southwestern portion of the project. The northeastern portion of our project is directly adjacent to Hollister. Hollister, the veins go east-west. Well, guess what? Early on in our I guess mapping of that project, we found 6 veins outcropping right at surface in the northeastern portion of our project, right where Hollister is. They're bright. They're bright purple, loaded with mercury and all the good things you want to see at surface. And but they didn't really run high gold and silver. But as you said, they're above the boiling zone. We tried to hit those with an RC rig, you know, drill down into the contact where the Paleozoics would meet with the volcanics, because that's where we're sort of targeting where the high grade system would be. We couldn't get there with the RC rig. What that means is that's a long way of me telling you that we've got some undrilled targets, I guess, up in the northeastern portion next to the vein system that points directly at it. Hollister averaged 34 gram per ton head grade, And we want to, that's pure upside. I mean, we need to get a core rig up there to go deeper than our RC rig could, but there's a lot of prospectivity throughout this project that we have. But what we're going to do is we don't want to go on an expensive treasure hunt right now. We're just going to go back to where we've pinned the tail on the donkey with this high grade structure. We're going to drill on either side of it, and then we're going to try and work our way back to the original intercept that Placer Dome made on this same structure 20 years ago, and that'll be about 500 meters or so of strike. If we can hit the same grades, that's massive, massive in terms of upside potential. And I think corporates will be watching this program because there's no juniors really doing much in that part of Nevada. It's all big boys. It's all the big companies.
And you've already got a big company that knows those kind of systems.
Yeah, well, exactly, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Another exciting thing about epithermal veins is that not only do they come, sometimes they won't all come to surface. And so you'll have blind potential, you'll find things blindly just by cutting an angled hole. Right. And by having core, you can see alteration, you can see what's going on underground. So I'm a big fan of this Silver Cloud thing. I think it could be a home run in the making that people are not giving you much credit for.
It's a wildly large land position in what would be the Beverly Hills of the gold mining index, industry. It's, literally where the largest gold mining complex intersects with the highest grade system in Nevada. The Northern Nevada Rift is easily the highest grade system in all of Nevada, and we've got, we're right next door to two different...
I think you've called it the donut hole.
Yeah, we're the donut hole in Hecla Mining's flame box. You don't have to build anything up there because there's so many mills all hungry for high grade tons. All we have to do is just show we've got some upside.
You've got something, and you're going to get bought out for that in a heartbeat. They know, Andrew, companies are hungry for margin.
Yeah. Well, if you look in that neighborhood, I mean, Newcrest just got into that neighborhood. Nevada Gold Mines to the south. This is a former Placer Dome and Tech Resources project. So lots of corporate development teams already have some data on it. What they don't have is the discovery hole where they've tied it all together. We do. And now it's game on. So yeah, we got that. We've got what looks like a huge potential lithium discovery, which is going to take shape. Assays pending there, all step outs. A resource coming on that, and then at at Tonopah, we're tied to the highest grade or some of the highest grade undeveloped silver ounces in the industry, and we've already shown it's going to get a whole lot bigger there. So,
before we started talking, we talked about how you're a catalyst-rich company, and I believe, like you said, that we're coming into a rising tide lifts all boats. Now, some companies are going to significantly outperform the other boats. It's the ones that have a lot of catalysts. And what shareholders might not realize is it's often the ones that are coming from a lower base that are the ones that blast off when the generalists come into the market.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think all three of our projects should take serious shape this year. I mean, that's the big thing is, every drill hole on the Silver Cloud program will tell a story, just as every drill hole on these remaining lithium drill holes here will tell a story, because they'll start to show to the size potential. We've established grade profiles. Now we're trying to show size potential. And at Tonopah West, that's a train on the tracks. I mean, that's already a standout.
And you're learning along the way too there, right? Andrew, first you wanted to go in with a constrained resource, but now you're doing additional work and you're finding, okay, well, maybe we constrained it too much over here and didn't need to.
Yeah, well, the more data you have, the more, the less assumptions you're putting into a model, right? And, obviously we've never had more data at Tonopah than we do now. Our resource only covered the first year and a half's worth of drilling. We did 25,000 meters, just under 25,000 meters there after the resource came out last year. We know there's areas internal to the resource area, specifically at DPB, where we think, knowing what we know now, we can probably bring on a lot of high-grade tons that just didn't make it into that resource just because they weren't modeled correctly. but we've also established that we've more than doubled the footprint of mineralization beyond where that resource left off since too. So yeah, it's right now we're doing the unsexy things behind the scenes in terms of relooking at the model, figuring out just how all these intercepts relate to one another. But we know already it's a hell of a good starting point to be there. There's obviously eyes watching us there because there's just not that many silver primary deposits in the world, let alone ones that aren't in Mexico or Peru or China or Bolivia or Argentina. We're on private land in Nevada, meaning, rule of law. And because it's private land, not really any development question marks. I mean, it's something that'll get permitted. So yeah, we're looking good. We're firing on all cylinders right here. We're obviously a silver company, so I see us as a leverage call option on silver. If all it needs to do is stay at these levels for that watermark to go, and we should see a big re-rate. All of the peers should see a big re-rate just to get to the level they were last time silver was here. But I'd say that our lithium deposit's effectively a free warrant on lithium for all our investors, and that could get big.
Excellent. What did I forget to ask anything, or did you want a closing statement there, Andrew?
No, assays pending on the lithium, drills starting up at Silver Cloud to offset a multi-ounce discovery, hopefully within the next couple of weeks here. Early May is what we're targeting to get the drills turning there. And then Tonopah West, we'll look to get boots on the ground there and hard hats there, hopefully towards the end of the summer. And if silver keeps running the way it is, we'll probably expedite that. So we'll see.
I think it will.
Here's hoping.
Okay, let me close it off and I'll talk to you at the other end. So here you go, folks. You got a company with a $68 million valuation. They've got access to a $15 million worth of work, and they would be carried for a 30% interest on the next $15 million of work on their lithium. At their Tonopah project, I tell you, everything I hear about Tonopah reminds me of the Las Chispas mine in Mexico that is now, Silvercrest has already had two big moves, and I think their biggest move is ahead of them. So the reason it's so good is because these are not easy to find. So they've got Tonopah, a growing resource, and I think it's a sleeper in the company is their Silver Cloud project. I don't think investors understand how important it is when you drill into the boiling zone of an epithermal vein system. Everything gets exciting after that. You just keep following it, keep defining it. And as you're doing that, sometimes you luck out and find another one. And there should be a cluster of them around that Northwest Canyon. I really think they've got three company-making assets in one company with a $68 million valuation. And if Andrew and I are right that we're going to come into a rising tide lift all boats kind of a phenomenon, this company is starting out from an oversold position. So as the boats start rising, it's those that, go higher than their peers. So as always, my shows are for information purposes only. Do your homework, speak to your financial advisor. Andrew and I have done some interviews that you can find on my YouTube channel and on my Substack. And go to their website, look at the news releases, look at their corporate presentation, and that will help you to understand how catalyst rich this company is. And I think is very oversold here and ready for a pop. On that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.